Hey everybody, today is Sunday, November 13th, 2022, and we're here in Bally, Pennsylvania on this very, very cold, very, very windy day. Yes, the disgusting fall, November, cold, blustery Pennsylvania weather is back. For a while, oh, the wind's picking up. For a while, we had nice 70-something degree weather. Now, it's back to being cold again. But like I said, we are here in Bally, Pennsylvania, outside of the Most Blessed Sacrament Church. Look at that, founded in 1741. This church is amazing looking. I love a good old church, and this one here is absolutely beautiful. Look at that steeple. Those stained glass windows are fantastic. I'm gonna have to come to a sermon here someday. This is a Catholic church, and if I'm not mistaken, I've never actually been to a Catholic service before, so someday I'm gonna have to get out here and check this place out. I did talk to the historical director. I was lucky enough to run into him right before I started filming, but I talked to the historical director of the church. I asked how old the actual building itself was, and he said, well, the actual records date back to 1741, but the church itself may not have actually been built in 1741. In fact, he said, when I asked how old the church was, he said, well, what part? Because apparently the church was built in sections, and then things were expanded and built around, and the church was just built up and up and up and up over the years. So apparently, I guess it started out much smaller, then grew to a much larger church. But still really awesome. Definitely has some very old age to it. Really awesome, beautiful, amazing church. However, we're not actually here to see the church itself. That's not why we're out here today. What we're out here to see is the weird and bizarre, what actually sits behind this church, which is what I really want to show you guys. You guys know I love just weird, bizarre, interesting things, weird, bizarre, interesting history. And there is definitely some of that sits behind this church. I saw photos of this and knew I had to come out here and document this for you guys, for me, for the channel, to show this to you, because it's just so weird and so bizarre, something I've never actually seen before, and I wanted to show it to you guys. So we're gonna walk around behind the church here, but look at this. You can definitely tell this church has some age. The old like cement walls here. I've seen churches like this before, and they definitely date back to quite a long time ago. There's actually a grotto back here as well, look at that. That's pretty interesting. Also, there's a little area over here for like meditation and prayer with a crucifix. This is really cool looking too. However, again, we're not here to see that. We're not here to see the church. We're not here to see the grotto. We're here to see what we're walking on top of right now, which is an old cemetery. However, you may notice something's missing from this cemetery. There's no tombstones. The cemetery is just a bunch of grass, and that's because the actual tombstones, there are a couple. As you can see, there's one, two, a few over there. But the actual tombstones for the cemetery themselves, the cemetery itself, the graves themselves, sit here along the tree line, all stacked up on top of each other. Look at that. And that is what makes this weird and bizarre. That is something I've never seen before. So my assumption was at one point the graves, the tombstones, had actually just fallen down, and they had no idea what belonged to what and what went where. So they just took the tombstones and they stacked them up. And after talking to the historical director, I was correct in that. So apparently, again, over time, since back in the day, tombstones nowadays, I'll show you this one over here. Tombstones nowadays are made kind of differently. As you can see, this one here, actually this one's back here too. This one here, and that one back there has like a concrete base on the bottom of it. Back in the day, tombstones were literally just concrete or marble slabs just stuck into the ground. That was it. Nothing to keep them from falling over. So over winters of the ground freezing and unfreezing, eventually it would kind of push the tombstones up and they would fall over, or they would crack and they would break. And over time, that's definitely what happened to the cemetery, because all these graves here date back to the 1800s. And again, over time, the tombstones had just fallen over, and there really weren't good records of where exactly the bodies were specifically buried. So once the tombstones did fall over and they all kind of just became a giant pile of a mess, they really didn't know where they properly belonged. So they were actually supposedly pushed up against the church. They were stacked up all against the church over time. And then I was being told that they decided to do some shrubbery work out here to make the church look a little better. So they actually moved all the tombstones away from the church and put them over here on the edge of the tree line and just stacked them up, which is really bizarre and really interesting just the fact that they would do this. I mean, I get it. They have no idea where the actual proper graves are due to poor record keeping, but still, it's just really interesting the way this was done. Like I said, most of these, if not all of these, dating back to the 1800s. Here's Mary F. Died in 1870, aged 3 months, 6 days. A 3-month-old passed away. That is sad. I can't imagine losing somebody at such a young age. That would break my heart. So right now, we are indeed standing on top of graves. We're walking through a graveyard right now that just looks like a random field because the tombstones have been removed and placed along the tree line. But what I want to show you guys over here is slightly more bizarre than just simply stacked up tombstones. Back in the 1960s, this was done to some of the tombstones. An actual fence was erected. Look at that. They made a fence out of tombstones. How interesting and bizarre and weird is that? It is so cool. So apparently the reason why this was done was so that you could actually see at least some of the tombstones, but it's just weird they made an actual fence out of them. That was done back in the 1960s. I was being told by the historical director that even now, as you can see, some of these are starting to fall over. They need to kind of be replanted into the ground. These are literally just stuck, boom, into the ground. They dig out a little trench, they stick them down, pack the dirt back around them, and that is the only way these are standing up. This one here, as you can see, there's no actual tombstone right here where I'm walking through. That's because that tombstone is right. Look at that right here. Look at this. Look at that. You can see it is nothing more than a big slab of concrete, and I just made it so that's gonna fall over. Did I just do something bad? I have no idea what I just did there. There we go. I stacked it back up. I feel bad. I should not have touched that. The actual historical director, he did the same thing I just did and had no problem. I almost knocked that whole thing over. I would have felt really bad had that fallen down. But anyway, so he was telling me all about that. He touched it first. I was just doing what he did. He did it much better though than I did it. But still, this is really just bizarre and interesting and fascinating. The fact that they actually made a wall of tombstones. Just so crazy. I have never seen anything like this before. If you've ever seen anything like this, leave a comment down below. Let me know if you're familiar with anything like this around your area or if you've seen something like this before. But it's just crazy to think that right now we are actually walking in a cemetery. This is a legit 100% cemetery where bodies are buried right below my feet right now. But we have no idea where the actual bodies are specifically and whose bodies they are because again, a poor record keeping. And all the tombstones were just placed, well, at one point placed up against the church and then moved from the church and placed against the tree line. Supposedly they're actually also working on trying to get it so you can actually know who's buried here. They're trying to keep records of every single one of these tombstones and take photos of every single one of these tombstones on the website. They want to actually have it so you can click on a last name. It'll show you who's buried out here. There are lots of Bowers out here. He was telling me I actually have friends with the last name of Bauer, so maybe it's some of their relatives. I don't entirely know, but it's just weird and crazy. So I wanted to show this to you guys because like I said, this was just weird and interesting. The fact that this is a cemetery we're walking through right now, again, walking on top of graves buried behind this amazing old church. But over time, the names of who's buried beneath us have been lost. We're not entirely sure. I mean, yes, we can look at the graves, we can look at the tombstone markers, and actually see the names of those who were buried here. We're just not entirely sure where exactly they were buried. But all right, guys, again, like I said, I wanted to show that to you guys. Too bizarre, too crazy, too cool. Right here is actually a Revolutionary War soldier. Look at that, Isaiah Jones. Continental Line, Revolutionary War, died December 26, 1847. It's got a little Revolutionary War marker down here. Again, more Revolutionary War history for you guys. But all right, so that's it. I'm gonna let you guys go. It is extremely cold. My hand has officially frozen to my camera. It is just stupid cold out. I don't know how many more videos we're gonna be doing outside. We might have to go find some indoor stuff to film every day because man, it is getting brutally cold. The wind is just, it's not friendly here in Pennsylvania. The wind is terrible. Look at the carvings on it. I know I keep showing you guys things. Look at the carvings here. Look at that. How awesome is the carving on this? this tombstone. But okay, again, I'm gonna let you guys go. Just want to show you the amazing wall of tombstones, the tombstone fence, and the fact that there are just tombstones stacked upon each other over here along the tree line. It was a really weird, bizarre history. I very much lucked in to running into the historical director when I came out here. Like I said, I assumed that these tombstones belong to the cemetery we're walking through right now. I didn't even know if this was 100% legitimately a cemetery. I assumed it was, and assumed the tombstones, again, went to the cemetery that we're walking on top of right now, but I wasn't 100% sure. Sure enough, talked to the historical director, and he did confirm that and said, yes, this is a actual cemetery right here behind the church. And these are tombstones that belong to the actual cemetery, and those were buried in it. Unfortunately, over time, were just not forgotten about, but where they were placed were kind of forgotten about, again, due to poor record keeping. And then in the 1960s, they started erecting this wall. I kind of wish they would actually finish the wall. You should take all these other tombstones and continue the wall around. How cool would that be? Maybe I'll contact the historical director and see about that. I'll help him. I'll come out here and dig some trenches for a day or so, or a couple of days, and help him move some tombstones. That'd be awesome. I would love to see that. I would love to see something like that. Maybe we can set something up. I don't know. I'll talk to the guy. He was a really nice guy. Maybe we'll get something like that going. But all right, again, I'm gonna let you guys go because I'm frozen. So as always, thank you all so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and of course, check down below for links to Patreon. If you guys do become a patron, I will send you a postcard every single month from the road. Also check down below for a link to Spreadshirt. We can grab yourself retro rest stop t-shirts, proceeds both from Spreadshirt and from Patreon to go to help putting gas in Vanderbilt and in Pumpkin, so we can come out to see weird, bizarre, and awesome, interesting things like a cemetery without many tombstones because they've been turned into a wall or just stacked up against a tree line. Weird, bizarre. So all right, guys, again, that's it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you guys do subscribe, I will see you. It is getting really cold. The sun is actually like going behind the clouds, and it's getting very cold. So anyway, like I said, hit the subscribe button. If you guys do subscribe, if you are subscribed, I will see you in tomorrow's video. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Bye.